it's even more important because you need to stand out in a noisy marketplace because people are mass producing content at scale.
Welcome to the podcast about communication in business. I'm your host, George Torok. Did you know that I'm known as the speech coach for executives? That's because I help business leaders deliver the intended message for greater success. When you listen to this podcast, you will hear insights and perspectives from communication experts from around the world. Today, we're reaching out to the other side of the world, Australia. My guest today is Wes Towers. I'm delighted to have him here. And here's 3 facts that I think you should know about Wes. 1, he's the founder of Uplift 360, a digital agency in Australia, and they build high-converting websites for trades and construction companies. So they know their market, they know their niche. 2, AI is rewriting how people discover and decide, and he helps business stay visible and credible by pairing modern SEO with clear human messaging. Now that sounds intriguing. And 3, he's a straight-talking mix of artist and technician. He rebuilt his agency through a tough season, and it sharpened his obsession with clarity and doing the basics brilliantly. Wes Towers, welcome to Your Intended Message.
Fantastic to be here, George. It's a real honour to be on the show after listening to a number of your episodes, and I'm really privileged to be here today.
Delighted to be talking with you, especially from the other side of the world. We need to learn from perspectives from every side that we can learn from. And Wes, I'm curious about that last point there where you said you went through a tough season, and that taught you to sharpen your clarity and obsession with clarity. Tell us a little bit, what caused the toughness, and what was it that helped you get through that?
Yeah, look, so a few years ago now, I had a business valuation done, and the business valuer, whilst everything traditionally was in line for a great valuation, all the things that they measure, he put down the rise of AI as a massive threat to my business. And so it was a real wake-up call. I kind of knew, it was probably 3 or 4 years ago now. It was sort of the dawning of AI as we know it, as a tool that anyone can use. And so my business really was at threat. So I really needed to think about where I was headed, get really, really clear. I've always believed in niching and being absolutely clear on who your target market is so you can market to that. Like this show is, your intended message. Your message is so important, but now with so much noise out there, it's even more important because you need to stand out in a noisy marketplace because people are mass producing content at scale, and we don't even know if it's true or not. We don't know if what we're seeing with our eyes, the videos are true, or the content that we're reading is true. So that authenticity needs to be hinged off your unique message. And so that's what I really chose to double down on in that time, that wake-up call a few years back where the business valuer said my industry was at threat. I thought, right, I've got to figure out what this means and how I remain viable, firstly, but also grow the business, which I've been able to do as well.
And I suppose the interesting lesson there is that when the industry is threatened, we can either give up and die, or we can reinvent ourselves and just grow to a higher, more specific level. And so in that case, the threat becomes an opportunity.
Absolutely. I think that's true of most threats. If we take them as opportunities, there are always opportunities to grow. Even when we make mistakes, there's opportunity to grow. So I would say, whilst it felt horrible at the time, it really did give me an opportunity to transform the business in a whole lot of ways.
And Wes, you currently specialize in the trades and construction. Those are your clients. And were you always that focused, or did you start with a general thing? Anybody want to buy something from me?
Yeah, I was just like that. It was anything and everyone. As you're starting out, as I was starting out, I just needed to get an income. It was hard to get the first few clients, and I would take on everything. But the niche kind of found me, and I slowly discovered that the majority of our better clients looked and sounded the same and had the similar needs, and they were in the same industries, construction-related industries. Mostly, there's still some legacy clients floating around, which we'll continue to support because we know them well now. But moving forward, and certainly at that pivotal moment 3 or 4 years ago, I thought about, okay, what's going to be important in the future? And it really was about having expert knowledge in a core thing, because it's so much easier to communicate when you're communicating to one very specific person, and you get to understand the nuance and the needs and the specifics of their circumstances, and they're probably transferable and relatable to other people similar to them. So you get really clear on your messaging. Your intended message, as the show is called, is so much easier when you're really clear and specific on these things. So I really decided to niche in even closer the last 3 or 4 years.
So when you niche an industry like that, did you join or do you attend industry conferences and events so that you get closer to the people?
Yeah, I've certainly, some of the best opportunities have come through different events. I mean, there was one that I sponsored even and had a little, a stand there. And it was quite a small conference. I think it was 3 days from memory, about 12 months ago. The level of opportunity that came from that, because I mean, I'm the guy who does the service for precisely them. So it was well worth the time investment and the cost of sponsoring that event. So these are the opportunities that open up if you really narrow in your market, in your niche, but also you get to understand who they are and how they communicate as well. So. But also the other way I've chosen to understand them a whole lot better is to start my own podcast. So I'm interviewing people in the game, in the trenches, doing the work from multiple different levels. So some people are talking about leadership for trades and construction. Some people are talking about management, all sorts of things, marketing, all sorts of things. So I'm learning their whole world a whole lot better all the time as I listen to more and more people.
And that of course is a wonderful benefit of hosting a podcast, because one might be already good at what you do, but now you get to learn other aspects and other insights that you perhaps never thought about before.
100%. And so what's been really curious, it's a new show. I've recorded, I think, about 12 now, so it's pretty early days. But what's been really curious, having guests all around the world, is the same opportunities and challenges and so on across the board in everyone I'm speaking to, the English-speaking world that I've had opportunity to talk to so far. So little us down here in Australia, we're a small market in comparison to lots of other places, but we have the same challenges as other places, which has been really interesting. And so we do have clients all around the world. So it's helpful for me to understand that the same principles apply across the board.
And the name of your podcast is?
Built, Trusted, Chosen. Yeah, so it's all for trades and construction related people, whether it be a small business starting out in a trade or a large construction company with multiple, branches and so on.
And say it again, Built, Trusted,
Chosen. Yeah.
Trusted, chosen. Got it. Like it. Cool. Very cool. And the people you are interviewing, are they potential clients or are they industry experts?
Probably they would likely be potential clients some of the time, but that's not the intention. The intention is just to get the leaders in the field that can bring value to the audience. I would suspect some of them might organically find their way as being clients, but I'm certainly not pushing that as their focus. And just learning my craft really as a host. I mean, I've been a guest, and I just appreciate people like you, George, who have hosted shows like this one, your intended message, because you just learn so much about being a guest and what makes a great host. and certainly your material has been fantastic to learn upon. So I'll probably evolve in my questioning and so on based on what I learned from this show even.
And there's no question we can all learn from each other as long as we're willing to accept that we haven't arrived yet.
Yeah, that's right.
We're not there. We're still climbing.
Yeah, and that's part of the opportunity of getting into podcasting. I'm not a speaker like you or it's not my forte, but I'm learning. I'm getting better. So I think even guesting, I was really scared, I guess, initially to even be on shows and wasn't sure what my message was, But having spoken to people and you find a groove and a rhythm and your values, speaking things out, just putting a language around your own thoughts and ideas is so important, even just for your own betterment. So I'm finding the growth really exciting.
It's wonderful to hear. And in the niche that you work with, the construction people, have you found that the more you niched, the more you learned their language and the phrasing that means something to them, but probably not someone in the food business?
Absolutely. Every industry has its different acronyms and ways in which they would communicate. And so from my communication point of view, I understand them better and more each day. So I can understand what they mean when they say something, because we're trying to understand their needs and interpret them into something visual, which can be sometimes challenging because what someone says they want from a visual standpoint, a website, for example, might be different. The way in which we interpret our words into visual, it can be complicated. So I get better at questions that I ask and ways in which we can understand them a whole lot better. And it's just taking the time to listen and have that dialogue to really dig deep into what they're looking for and what they're trying to achieve in their business, whether it be growth or sometimes even the challenge that they're trying to overcome is to get key staff members on board. We're having a labour shortage. I think that's happening in a lot of places. So people are wanting great websites in the construction field so that they can attract quality staff, team members into their organisation, which is a new way of looking at a website for sure.
Oh, that's interesting. So typically we'd think of the website as getting more customers. However, we wouldn't necessarily think of it as to help get qualified staff.
Yeah, so these days, more and more so, people want to work with an entity that they feel aligned to, the values, the culture, these sorts of things that can't easily be grasped unless you're in front of the material itself. So to understand really what makes a company tick and what's anything that's unique or distinct in an organisation, they're the key points you really need to highlight. Because for the most part, people know the general things of a organisation, like an industry, but those unique points of view that they really need to shine in the marketing, whether it be marketing to attract customers, clients, or whether it be marketing to attract team members, which is a different way of looking at marketing. It's kind of the same. You're trying to communicate your values and your beliefs and why you do what you do and the outcomes you achieve.
Now, that's interesting. If I was shopping for trades, say I was, doing a renovation or building a project, I would be inclined to think, well, okay, carpenters, they're all the same. Cement people, they're all the same. Electricians, they're all the same. Who's giving me the best price?
We do shop on price, isn't it? If there's a lack of distinction between companies, well, what else are we to choose from but price? But we all also know that we hear horror stories from certain trades and industries, and that people have bad experiences. And so, if there's a trend of a bad particular type of experience in your industry, then they're things you need to address up front. So it might be as simple as a trade's turning up late for example, or leaving a mess. These are the common things that we hear in our part of the world. Highlighting these things that they're addressed, in a positive frame. You wouldn't go out and bag your competitors, but you would speak to the cleanliness and the timeliness, or you might have software in place that tells people when you arrive. Well, that's really cool. Like, I've had trades come to my home even, and whilst they were late, their software told me they were late. It kept me updated. So if I needed to run some tasks, I could do that and come back because I knew what was going on, and it wasn't wasting my time. So these little things that people have in their companies, but they're not sort of using it as a marketing tool to communicate the benefits of working with a company. And as you say, racing to the bottom, trying to be the cheapest is a horrible way to do business. So anything you can do to break out of that is a huge advantage.
And are you able to leverage humor in your marketing messages?
That's an interesting question. I think some people, the voice in which you communicate, and this is a cool thing about AI too. So whilst AI has its downside, the way in which you use it, if you use it correctly, can really help with the content production to keep the style of communication always consistent. See, back in the day, we would hire copywriters to do the writing of content for a website, and it could be a lengthy document to say precisely how they want to communicate. So the copywriter would read it, understand it, start writing, but get busy. They'd have to do some research about the entity. By the time they finish, they've forgotten what the style guide was, so they'd have to keep pulling back. But now the AI you can just write the content, run it through AI to keep the voicing consistent, and it will tidy things up. So, but yeah, humor could be an aspect of that style if you want to. There's all sorts of different ways you can tackle content to engage the audience, captivate. Certainly humor would be a great opportunity if someone's got that wit to use that in social media and so on, because it could potentially become viral and so on and get shared. That would be a huge plus. Sometimes people aren't as funny as what they think. Humor is a tricky art, I think.
True. And I find it curious that, so you're talking about you're using AI, and it was AI that first frightened you, that or people said, well, AI is going to finish your business, and yet, however, you're now making it part of your business. Yeah. Instead of being threatened by the technology, you're finding a way to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've used it as a tool to improve the standard operating procedures, so the way in which we work to get things done. I'm really rock solid on following process. So those processes needed to be evolved somewhat to make use of the new tools and opportunities. And it did streamline things tremendously. So that's the operational side of things and how we build out websites. Saves a whole bunch of time. The beauty of that is that extra time that I have personally, I can reinvest back into human connections, which is what I love. I enjoy talking to people, whether it be one-on-one, client conversations or podcasts, guesting, all of these things. The human connections, I believe, the art in, like this show is, your intended message, having a message, sharing that message in a human way. I think that's where the real value is in moving into the new world of an abundance of information. That human connection and relationship and the art of communication is where true value is these days.
So at what step in the process do you use the AI, and where do you human check it?
Yeah, so that in terms of the content production, so we use it kind of to keep the style, the voice. So we call it a voice document. It's quite lengthy, but it's really a large prompt that you can use in any AI platform. We'll give that to the client as well if they want to do some of their own content production. But we use that whenever we're writing or producing content on their behalf. So that's the way in which you communicate, the language, the style. But then the message is obviously more important than anything. So having that distinct message. And so we'll document anything that is unique, because we can use AI to produce content. That's fine. Everyone does. And it's generic and bland. It's all just pulling in the average sum total of what everyone else has already said. So it's not adding anything new to the table. Therefore, it's unlikely to be surfaced on AI platforms or Google or anywhere because it's already been said. Once you're adding something that only you can share, might be case studies, stories, examples, these sorts of things that are from you, then that's where you're adding new value, and therefore you'll have the opportunity to show up on Google and even through ChatGPT or any of the other large language models. We're having clients show up when people are looking for a particular service. When people are chatting to their ChatGPT, for example, we had a great win in that space recently where a client won a $140,000 contract simply because the person was speaking to their ChatGPT, their phone, and they said they were the very best in Australia for that particular service offering. So they chose them. And so this is how people are getting found and trusted and chosen these days.
So that's interesting. So this person, a potential buyer, went to their Chat GTP and asked for who's the best in Australia in this particular service, and the Chat GTP came back, made a recommendation, and the buyer made a decision based on that advice from the AI.
Yeah, 100%. So apparently they had quite a lengthy conversation researching, I guess, their options and what they should do, and got to the point where they said, well, who's the very best in Australia? And so the interesting part was the person doing this research, they were in Brisbane, I believe, or certainly might have been somewhere in Queensland. So if you know Australia, it's quite a distance from where this particular service provider is coming from. But ChatGPT said they were the very best and they want the best, so they don't mind that geographically they're quite distant. They wanted the best, and ChatGPT said that they were, so they were selected.
You mentioned the use of case studies, and yeah. I'm guessing that although we can get a lot of content from AI, the case studies have to come from people, from people telling their personal stories. And how have you managed to leverage those personal stories, those case studies?
Yeah, and they're so valuable because it's not just generic information, it's about a particular project and so on. And so we do quite a lot of that, and it's really important for the trades construction industry, particularly if it's a visually quite a beautiful work that they do. We're doing a cladding company right now, and they're doing some really great recognised buildings. Anyone in Australia would recognise the buildings. So to have those case studies on their website, it's just so powerful. Visually, it's great messaging. You can just see, they did that cladding. But also, we write the content case study for them, and they don't have to, be really articulate and write it themselves. Sometimes we've got clients who will just send their project documentation. And so with ChatGPT, we can massage that into something that makes sense for the end customer. So with some prompts, as I said before, we can take what was a job sheet and make that a case study. And it's talking about all the right things. It's talking about what the project was, the location. Locations are really important because most businesses will serve a geographic area. And so it's really powerful. We can produce that for them. Obviously, they might need to cast their eye over it to make sure that it's true and accurate because, they can hallucinate sometimes. But by and large, we get to understand a business more and more over the course of time, and we can do a lot of that correction for them.
And I've noticed that, yes, sometimes ChatGTP will hallucinate or lie because it's as if it's trying to please us and giving us false information. So you still need to have that eagle eye to check the facts that it's got it right.
Yeah. If it doesn't know something, it'll just make something up half the time, which is a challenge. And this is why niching is really important, because we have a really in-depth knowledge, and particularly after working with a particular client for a while, we get a really solid understanding, so we can do that for them. If we were generalists, we wouldn't really understand our clients all that well, and it would be really difficult to pick those things up on their behalf. So by niching, we can do a lot of that heavy lifting for them and weeding out all the problems.
I'm curious, Wes, are you handy? Are you a handyman person yourself? Is that this? Are you
No,
someone that can pick up a hammer and
no, not at all. A lot of people will make that assumption working with who we work with now, but it's quite the opposite. It's kind of funny. So I'm used to picking up a hammer. I don't know what end of the screwdriver to hold. It's it's kind of funny, but for whatever reason, it's probably a number of reasons I can make my assumptions, but I relate really well to these types of people. I guess because I'm pragmatic and I try to avoid the techie jargon and so on. And so the target audience that we work with appreciate that because they don't want to get bogged down with all the technical jargon. They just want to know what the outcome is and is it going to facilitate their needs. So I think just the manner in which I communicate my message, it just resonates with that type of person.
And that's an interesting point. So clearly you need to understand the technical aspect of digital marketing, of websites, of AI, of search. However, when you talk to your clients, they don't want to hear that language.
Yeah, that's right. It depends to a degree who we're working with. So we've got some clients who have a marketing department, so it's a different level of conversation because they're wanting to geek out on all the techie sort of things because they know what it means. But when we're working with a founder-led entity, and they might have come through the trades or, they were an apprentice, they worked their way up to management, they ended up, working their way through and starting their own company. They haven't got that technical knowledge, nor should they need to. They're hiring people that they trust to do the work for them. We just need to know what the end goal is and the vision is and to move them along that path. But when we're working with a marketing department, it's different. We're helping the way I look at it is we're helping that marketing person, whoever we're dealing with, look great to their boss. So if we're helping them facilitate what they need to and giving them some really solid guidance so they can take that information and feed it back to whoever they communicate with.
And when you do that, when you help them make them look good to their boss, then definitely you've got them on your side as opposed to fighting with them.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the important aspect. These people are typically busy because, like most people who are employed, there's a lot put on their plate. So the more that you can alleviate their workload and work alongside them, and it'll take shape in different ways. So some will have a certain skill set in some things, and they'll want to do aspects of the end goal, and sometimes they just give it all to us. Really depends on their skill set as well. So making them look great is a really important thing, and it's good for everybody that way.
When it comes to marketing online, which is more important, or is there a difference between the words, the text, the images, and/or video? How do you balance those three?
Yeah, it's all important. The message is, and this is why your show is brilliant, George. The message is the priority. So anything that you do should support the message. So, and this is how we design websites too. So we design the website in a way that guides the eye through the core messaging. Everything that we design should be there to support the message. It's not about creating a design masterpiece for the sake of beauty and design. It's there to obviously present the business in a professional manner, but to guide the eye through those key things, because no one's reading very few people are reading word for word, paragraph after paragraph. So we need to make sure those key elements are quickly grasped and action is taken, a call to action of some description. So it's the message is the priority, no matter if it's written content on a website. Videos are obviously powerful as well because you can just cover so much in a video in a short space of time. It also, if you do embed it in your website, it keeps people on your website longer. Google recognize that, and it'll help. They'll think, okay, well, people are staying on this website for a length of time, probably a quality website, probably worth some more traffic. All these little clues that Google use to gather reputation and authority and whether a website's quality or not.
Okay, and I just made a note there. So a good video keeps people on your website longer, and Google doesn't know why they're there longer, just that they are longer, therefore the website must be more relevant.
Yeah, well, they may know why. They may know that they're watching the video, and sometimes it's embedded through YouTube. YouTube's part of Google now, so they may know why. But they also know that people are sticking. It's just one small signal. There's lots and lots of signals that they're trying to understand, to better understand what a great website is. But and it makes sense. So if you're on Google, you're searching for something, you click on a link. Next second, you're back on Google. They'll have to think, okay, they're back on Google already. Something wasn't a good fit on that particular site. So it's just one of those, just one of many aspects. But yeah, the message on the video, message in the content that's written, your social media, alignment throughout all these things. As you know, George, it's just so important to have that core message. And that's why, for me, niching is really powerful, because it's so much easier to be clear and concise and compelling when you've got a clear person that you're speaking to.
And for people who'd like to learn more about Wes Towers and his agency in Australia, you can find him at their website, and that is uplift60.com.au. And you can arrange a strategy call by visiting that site. Wes is
uplift360.com.au.
Did I say it wrong? Thank you.
Yeah, I think you missed the 3, but that's okay. uplift360.com.au.
Good. Okay. And you can find that link in the description below. Wes, as we prepare to wrap up, imagine you're talking to a service business, and they are considering going from a broad market to a specific niche. And if you were to give them advice on how to go about that, if there's 1, 2, 3 pieces of advice, what would be the advice you'd give them to niche down?
Well, one clear thing to look for is your best future clients probably are similar to your best current clients. So look at who your best few clients are, and you might measure best in a whole bunch of different ways. Obviously, the financial outcome is a good way to look at what best is for you, but also what you enjoy doing as well is another way of looking at best. So what types of work do you like doing? So what's financially rewarding? What do you enjoy doing? And if there's a commonality between the people that you're already working for, then the niche has already found you, and it's a matter of doubling down on that. If that's not the case, if you find that there's a whole mix of different kinds of businesses, it can be more challenging. That you've just got to think about what the future changes might be. And a good question for you, having you speak to so many people. What do you think are the trends? Do you see a common trend with the people you interview? What are the common trends that you're seeing that are arising in the people you talk to?
Oh, that's an interesting question, Wes. What I'm probably noticing is that people are becoming more aware of the importance of emphasizing the human aspect of communication, because that's what can distinguish us, make us more valuable in a world of AI, and that's also what can help us distinguish us from the competition when we emphasize our human aspect.
Yeah. So, and that's powerful. I see the same thing in my industry. Obviously, I speak a lot about humanizing your brand and your messaging. So I think figuring out for a company, if you want to choose a niche, figure out what's happening in the industries in which you serve, because there might be growth industries and there might be industries falling away. But if you can foresee what's happening and position yourself so you're serving a growing market, that's ideal. Some things will fade away. I mean, imagine if you're specialized in serving video shops. I mean, videos aren't a thing anymore. Your business is dead in the water. So think about where things are moving towards and position yourself for that growth.
Wonderful advice. My guest today is Wes Towers, reminding you that the advantage to you is when you emphasize your distinction. If you like what you heard, remember to like, comment, and share this podcast. Come back every week for more practical insights to help you deliver your intended message. I'm your host, George Torok.